Welcome to Planting Joy Garden. I was out doing my morning harvest and I wanted to answer a question that many people have asked. Can you really feed yourself from a backyard garden? Is there enough that you can harvest in a small space to really make a difference in your grocery bill or in an emergency? Can you really feed yourself? And the answer is an absolute yes. So I thought I would stop my harvesting and share some things on how you can feed yourself from your backyard garden. So this is my garden here, very small space, but I'm using special techniques. I'm using high density planting, as in the case of these green beans here, and I'm also doing vertical growing, which allows me to put a lot of produce in a small amount of space. So let's just discuss this for a moment as I harvest. So we'll start the discussion with vertical growing. Vertical growing allows you to plant high density. So I do have a green stalk planter here, and this planter allows me to grow Swiss chard undercover. This is a 5-tier planter, and it is planted with Swiss chard. I consider the Swiss chard to be one of my staple crops. So my leafy green vegetables are one of my staple crops. Okay, so I can make a stir fry. So I'm just going to take some of these very large leaves off. Okay, we'll turn this. I'm taking only the largest leaves and I'm going to let it continue to grow on so that this plant, Swiss chard, will produce for me from frost to frost. So I have been harvesting from here since my last frost. So I don't need that much. I'm only going to take what I need for the day. Okay, so I got some Swiss chard. And as you can see, I have not even made a dent. And this ensures that I have truly the healthiest, prime, best looking vegetables to eat because it's in my yard. It's as fresh as can possibly be. Okay. And here's my harvest of Swiss chard. We'll put that over here. And you can see I barely made a dent in this tower, and there is so much more that I can harvest for another day. So this is all the Swiss chard I'll need, and this is roughly, I think, about 50 plants in this green stalk. Now, ideally it would be one Swiss chard per pocket, but from past experience, I know Swiss chard does not mind being crowded. And so that's plenty of Swiss chard there. Now, if I grew this Swiss chard, 50 plants in a row, that row would be 50 feet long, putting one Swiss chard per square foot. But with high density planting, in this case, some of them have one per pocket, some have two Swiss chards per pocket. In the places where I have two Swiss chards, those are ones that I plan on harvesting young, and I can put those in salads, whereas the larger leaves with one per pocket, I'll use those for soup, stews, and stir fries. But the really small leaves, particularly those one on the bottom, some of those have 2 and 3 Swiss chard plants. I'm harvesting them as young leaves for salads. Now in this tower, I have tomatoes, strawberries, I have herbs. So it's a small space. Ideally, your tomatoes should be spaced anywhere from 18 to 24 inches apart. Well, on one level, I have 2 determined tomatoes, and they're producing tomatoes for me. If I had them in a row, I would need a lot of space, but with vertical and high density, I'm able to produce a lot in a small space. The key thing is to make sure that you have highly nutrient soil, that there's fertilizer available to your plants so they can reach their full potential, their full growth in a small space. You have to provide good nutrient soil. The other thing, I am doing sweet 100 indeterminate cherry tomatoes. Now, cherry tomatoes are wonderful because you'll notice towards the bottom of the plant, I have ripe tomatoes. And I've already harvested some off, but I missed one down in there. Can you, I don't know if you can see that red dot right there, ripe tomato. But the top is still growing clusters of tomatoes that I can harvest on another day. So I took my harvest for today, knowing that in a few more days, there's more to come. And in a couple of weeks, there'll be more to come. So the other thing is to do some sort of indeterminate tomato, cherry tomato, which will produce for you throughout the warm season. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, yes, I have my staple crops. My staple crops being my leafy green vegetables and my beans, bush beans and pole beans. Those are my staple crops. But I do have to have fillers. I want to be able to flavor my food. So that's where it comes in, where I will harvest bunching onions and I will harvest some herbs. And that's what I have in these containers. Okay, so let's harvest some bunching onions. And now for the bunching onions, we'll go for these mature ones here. And this is more than enough of what I'll need for today. So put that in the basket. I think I'm going to need a little bit of thyme. So let's go grab some thyme. Okay, so we'll grab some thyme from here. I have some English thyme. That's for today. Anything I don't use, I'll just dry it and put it in my canisters inside. And we'll take a little bit of lemon thyme. So actually, this is what I would use in a week. Okay. Pepper. That's an important seasoning. So I have a large Makoni pepper, but I've already harvested out some shishitos, which I showed you earlier in this video. So we'll be using shishitos. And here I'm planning for the future. I am growing from seed some more turnip greens and a tray of mustard greens. And so I don't have space for it right now, but this bed is my bed to grow my butternut squash. So I have 3 squash plants in here now. They will just kind of grow and sprawl all over the place. But while I'm waiting for my potato bed to open up, and actually my red Norland potatoes are ready to be harvested today. I just don't feel like it. I have 70 days of growth on them, but I'm not willing to dig potatoes today. So, but once I get this bed dug out, I will be moving my mustard and turnips to that bed, which means that I'm planning for future harvest. Now I'm going to harvest some celery stalks to season today's harvest with. So let's see. And so I'm taking only what I need. So I'm taking the outer stalks. Okay. So here you see, I have my celery stalks, but I find that the majority of the flavor is in the leaves. So I like to season a soup or a stew with the actual leaves of the plant. So we'll add that. I'm also going to add a little rosemary, and I'm sorry, a garbage truck went by. So we're going to take some of this rosemary and I'm going to harvest the amount you would get from a grocery pack at the grocery store, which is usually about 4 ounces. And so here's my grocery pack size of rosemary, roughly 4 ounces. And I'm sorry, bugs are landing on my arm. And here is today's harvest of our spices. We have some celery stalk, we have some rosemary, we have lemon thyme, and we have English thyme, and we also have some green onions to season today's harvest with. So this is my small space garden where I use vertical growing and high density planting together so that I have a highly productive kitchen garden right here on my patio. So my staple crops, my green beans, I grow at high density. My leafy green vegetables also grown high density and in a vertical tower. My potatoes, which are high density planted, provides a source of high carbohydrates. And my cherry tomatoes, I'm able to get a high production of vitamin C in a small space. So I would encourage you to plant a garden no matter how small your space is. You can get your staple crops growing and provide supplements through herbs and seasonings. So, yes, my small garden can produce food for me, and yours can produce at least one or two staples for you. Get out there and grow something. Okay, so this is today's harvest. I have some leafy green vegetables, I have some green beans, I have a large slicing tomato that can be fried as a green tomato for breakfast. I have three cherry tomatoes. And this is the beginning of the growing season. I have some peppers from today. I have some herbs so that I can season my dish. So this is one day at the beginning of the harvest season. Imagine what you could produce for your family. Could you make a stew for a family with these ingredients? Can you make a stir fry? Absolutely, with this. I also picked out a few early potatoes. I was just testing to see how big my potatoes are. These are very small, but perfect size for a stew. So no matter how small the garden is, it is worth it to grow something. So have an amazing day. It's not too late to start Swiss chard. It's not too late for green beans. Peppers, maybe a little late, but you can at least grow one or two staple crops right now. So thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. If you learned anything, please push that like button. Bye bye.